Silver and gold stackers are cheaters. Now, the common understanding of cheating is that it's a bad thing and that you shouldn't do it. But do the same rules apply whenever the game is rigged against you? And while it goes without saying that life is unfair, it is still somewhat of an annoyance knowing that all of my hard work I'd put in every single day, the long hours, missing out on time with family and friends, results in payment via fiat currency. And that's when silver and gold stacking becomes relevant. I do believe that silver and gold stacking is a great way to cheat the systems that we happen to live under day to day, year over year. So, without further ado, let's talk about how silver and gold stackers live against the grain of what society prefers. Let's get into it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as we push hard for 7,000 subs. If we take a look at history and if we take a look at modern day, there's plenty of similarities that we could draw between the two. But today I want to focus on the allocation and ownership of assets by the elite, by the rich, by the 1%, by the lawmakers, and by the individuals that own the corporations that produce all of the products and services that we need to live day by day. Whenever we take a look at ancient Rome and the seemingly endless cycle of a strong fiat presence accompanied by inevitable inflation, there are some very significant connections that we can draw between who held the true value back then versus who holds the true value now. And speaking of holding true value, let's take a look at the sponsor of today's video. PIMBEX is an online metals dealer that has excellent prices and secure shipping. So if you're in the market for a little bit of silver and gold to bolster your stack, or if you're just starting out, be sure to check out PIMBEX.com. In ancient Roman times, there were countless amounts of currencies. The design, weight, and purity of currency back then would shift with whoever the leadership was at the time, and sometimes it would shift multiple times under the same leadership. But one constant thing that would happen over and over is purities would get reduced and inflation would be created, which would cause a lot of economic difficulty. Promises would be made that ultimately wouldn't be kept, and it made the lower classes poorer and poorer as time went on. And it makes you wonder how leadership managed to stay in positions of power for so long, and that's because the upper classes were allowed to deal in gold. They could afford high purity silver and they could afford high purity gold, and in a lot of ways, those higher carat currencies stuck with the higher classes to the point that they were able to avoid the effects of inflation over long periods of time. So we can take that piece of history and compare that to today. We can take a look at huge corporations like, say, BlackRock that are buying single-family homes in record numbers and have been doing so for years. My personal opinion is that that should be illegal. I think the only people that should be allowed to purchase single-family homes are single families and small-time investors. After all, with where interest rates are, people that purchased homes back 4 and 5 years ago are not willing to sell what they have at a 2% interest rate only to go into a 5.5%, 6%, or 6.5% interest rate at a new property. So as a result, in a lot of places across America, the real estate market has become very, very stagnant. There's not a lot of homes being sold because of the high interest rates, and there's not a lot of homes being purchased because, well, houses are expensive now. But large corporations like BlackRock have access to extremely low interest loans, and they're able to pick up houses left and right, which it really ultimately wouldn't matter what the interest rate is. They have so much money, they can acquire these assets whether we like it or not. So while America is the freest country in the world, in a lot of ways I do still feel that the American people are being cheated. They're being cheated out of single-family homes, they're being cheated out of income-producing assets, and industry like real estate is getting taken advantage of by the big players. So the same way the very small middle class and the very large lower class of Rome was getting taken advantage of by being cut off from true, real, high purity commodity metals to use as currency, the very same thing is happening today. We don't have access to the interest rates that large corporations have, and in my opinion, it's not all that ethical that a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars is able to shark these properties and pull them out from under everyday common Americans and young families that are just trying to find a home. So given that in a lot of ways it's an unfair game here in 2025, I don't think it's a problem to bend the rules in your favor from time to time. And in my opinion, one of the very best ways to do that is to buy silver and gold. The wealthy parties that sell us our products and services, and the wealthy parties that pay us our paychecks, don't want us to leave the fiat system. They want us to work as hard as we can to produce them as much revenue as possible for us to only get paid in fiat, and then with that fiat, they want us to turn around and give it back to them via the products and services that are being put in front of us. And whenever large players are successful at this, it creates a cycle. It creates a cycle of spending, and in worst cases, it creates a cycle of debt accumulation. I've said it before on this channel, and I'll say it again, but the things that they want us to own in turn end up owning us. A $700, $800, $900 car payment for whatever flashy set of wheels anyone has sitting in their driveway isn't an easy expense to satisfy every single month. And minimum credit card payments from 5 different credit cards with 25% interest attached to them needing to be paid every single month isn't exactly an easy pill to swallow either. But unfortunately, that's the situation that a lot of Americans find themselves in. It can seem like there's no way out of this cycle, which can create a pretty strong feeling of hopelessness. This is where silver and gold stacking comes in. If the game is engineered against you, then it's okay to cheat. Number one, silver and gold, everybody knows this, preserves its value over time. And history has shown that it has outpaced inflation significantly by a huge margin. Now, I'm not saying there aren't downtimes for the metals. There's absolutely downtimes for the metals. You could buy silver at $53 an ounce, and then a week later it's back down to $47. Stuff like that happens all the time. But over the long term, history shows that it outpaces inflation in an impressive way. So that's step one. Find a way to earn money and then hold on to it. And once you're able to hold on to it and it not immediately go away right after you earned it, find a way for it to stay with you long enough to appreciate past the point of inflation. Silver and gold stacking does exactly this. Establish some form of financial retention. And then step three is finding a way to maximize purchase frequency. This is what I went through when I very first started silver and gold stacking. I picked up 7 or 8 ounces of silver, and the moment I received them in the mail, I realized that I was absolutely addicted, and I needed to figure out a way to pick up more metals at a faster rate. Instead of picking up 7 or 8 ounces in a month, maybe I could find a way to bump that up to 7 or 8 ounces every single paycheck. And that's exactly what I did. And I did that by reducing my cost of living. I paid off credit cards to where I didn't have those pesky minimum payments anymore. I quit eating out as much. I quit spending so much on superficial wants that didn't really mean anything. I cooked more of my own food, and I overall reduced that cost of living significantly. And once I did that, not only was it very freeing, I felt that I had more control over my own free will because I was truly thinking about where every single dollar I have is going. And that was very empowering. And the reward of all of this was that I was able to pick up more metals more consistently over time. Step 4 is finding a way to phase yourself out of the fiat currency system as much as you possibly can. Not everybody can buy a house every other month. For the vast majority of people, their home is the biggest purchase they will ever make, and it'll take them a significant amount of time to pay it off. So how do we get a hold of assets that are real, tangible, finite, and do appreciate over time past the point of inflation? We pick up metals like silver and gold. And as we do this, and as we reduce our cost of living, and as we increase our buying frequencies, we can find ways to move out of the fiat system that is rigged against us. It's not fair to us that we work so hard and live the majority majority of our waking hours working for companies that then turn around and pay us with a promissory note that isn't actually worth anything in reality and also loses value in the markets literally every minute of every day. Now that you've reduced your cost of living and you've been stacking for a certain amount of time, you're really starting to find new ways to cheat the system. And it also, for me personally, has shifted my view of value entirely. Things that are advertised at me nowadays really don't hold any value to me. I'm not attracted to them, no matter how flashy or pretty or cool they may be, whether it's a new piece of tech or clothing or whatever it happens to be. I really don't value it the way I would 3 or 4 years ago. So it doesn't weigh on me that I'm not picking up all these new toys that a lot of other people are buying every single day. That's one huge step in leaving the fiat cycle and the fiat system. Silver and gold stackers aren't chained to the temptations of everyday life like I feel a lot of other people are. It really can rewire your perception of what value is and the things that you want to pursue. And after 1 to 3 years of this, I'm sure you'll find yourself in a significantly different financial situation than you were beforehand. You're not chained to the temptations of the modern world. You're counting every dollar. You're moving what you can into real assets, and it doesn't necessarily have to be silver and gold. It can be other investments as well. But ultimately, not financial advice, just my opinion, you will find yourself in a much better position financially. And that is why silver and gold stackers are cheaters. They're cheating this system that's been pushed upon us. I don't mind playing a fair game of ball with anybody, but the moment I find out that the cards that are being dealt to me are predetermined by someone without my best interest at heart, that's the moment I pull the ace from my sleeve. But anyways, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Stay safe out there. Keep stacking. Peace.